Welcome back. We have a brake caliper that does not have pins in it, finally. And I have the parts to put it back together. So let's finally get these brakes done today so we can move on to the other stuff I gotta do. Alright, I got this guy mostly cleaned up. I think good enough for what I need it for. Everything's clean inside the bores. I'm going to spray it with a little paint here. I'm just letting it kind of bake in the sun after I clean it off with some brake clean and whatnot first, though. So we're going to let that sit for a bit. I got to pull the other caliper off because I'm going to rebuild that one, I believe. Okay. A few things have happened since I've talked to you. I went and grabbed my old caliper from work because I forgot that that spring clip thing was in it. I need that. Had to gank that out in a really janky way. I'm going to rebuild this caliper real fast. Paint's not even really that dry. But one thing I just wanted to point out. This is pin. Mine was pretty stuck. A little bit of rusty-gusty on it. So I'm going to clean this up quick. A little steel wool and just make sure it's good and smooth. Re-grease that. I do have new boots somewhere in this mess of a thing that's going on right now. So I'm just doing that. I just wanted to point out that this should be sliding smoothly right here. And if it's not, make sure you fix that. So we'll be back here again in a second when I get that put back together. And then we'll move on to putting the seals in for the pistons. Alright, I'm going to put the seals in now. So just looking into the grooves, it's probably not easy to see in there. But there's two grooves. One's thicker, one's thinner. You have two seals. One thicker, one thinner. Then you have your piston. It goes in there. I'm going to do that now. These are K&L pistons I got from Parts Giant. Seem to fit great. I just kind of dry fitted them with no seals in there, so just make sure that they're going to fit into your caliper before you do anything with it. But I'm going to throw this together quick, hopefully, and get it on the bike. Okay, first piston is in. Couple things. Make sure your grooves, it's really hard for me, sorry, I'm just using my cell phone right now to point at these grooves in here, but there's these grooves. Make sure they're nice and clean. I had one problem. Good thing about two kits, knowing that these seals sometimes could rip like this. Make sure that when it goes in, it's not going to rip. Or buy a couple kits. Otherwise, you might be shit out of luck waiting for parts again. So make sure when you're going in that they're seated fully into that groove. And make sure when it's going in that it's not feeling like it's ripping. Like it, once it starts actually and it's seated correctly, it will just slide right in. I used a little bit of grease just to help it in. You can lose a little brake fluid too. I had a little here, just every once in a while it hit the seals with it. So I'm gonna get the second piston in. Throw some brake pads on this thing. That's what I meant to say. Throw it back on there, and maybe finally I can have rear brakes. Jeez, front brakes. So it's a nice day. I wish it was raining. All right, I'll be back. Okay, I think I can better show you guys those grooves now. You see where the black is in there. Those are the two grooves that I'm talking about where the seals go. That's why you have to make sure they're nice and clean. Make sure that you're getting them in there. Make sure they're lubricated up with like brake fluid. It's fine because that's what's going to be in the caliper anyway. It's what's the seals holding back. So just make sure you get those seated in there into a nice, clean, smooth surface. Just a quick note that coming from the original brake lines to these apex lines, This does not come with any new rubber or anything for the line to put it in the little hanger it has here just to hold it in place. I just cut this off of my old brake lines, and then I just had to grip this clamp just a little tighter because this line is not as thick as the original brake line is. Just make sure you're not pinching it so hard that it's like gonna crimp your line. I just got it so basically it holds it, but I can pretty much move the line back and forth. That one's a little tight. I might actually loosen that one up a little bit. The other side's better. So just a quick note that I did that so that my lines weren't just kind of flopping in the wind and that they were getting off of other things. So just heads up. All right. I just kind of hammered it out. I finally have front brakes on. I still got to fill them with fluid and bleed them and all that stuff. But man, I'll be honest, just looking at it right now, those new brake lines matching my clutch line I put on last year. Full disclosure, I still got to put on the other half. Yeah, that makes me happy. I want to get more done today, but I don't know. These projects sometimes kick your butt, especially when life is throwing other shit at you. Sometimes it's just nice to sit here and, even though I should be riding, just remember all the time you put into it. These projects don't just get built. They build you in a way. You always think you're going to be just out riding, getting that throttle therapy in. And then you bought a 40-year-old motorcycle that they all look good when you first see them. Not going to take much. Maybe I won't have to pull the carbs. That's a joke you can keep telling yourself, guys. But even though it's not even ready to ride yet, I'm getting shit done. You gotta let them build you sometimes. Alright, boys. Well, I'll get these bled here at some point. I got next thing I want to do, clutch springs. Might do that today, might not. And then I need to do rear brakes and the rear tire. Have all the parts I should need. So let's hope the brakes were the one thing that held us back. Probably won't be. 38-year-old motorcycle. And then we can actually get back to the normal stuff. But we're going to leave you here. Out.